Srishti, Srishti will present on Maharana Pratap.
Yes, sir. 1 second.
Yeah.
Sir, is my screen visible?
Yeah, Srishti.
Namaste. Today I'll be speaking on Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. Shivaji Raje Bhosale was born on 19th February 1630 to Jijabai and Shahaji. Shahaji was a Maratha general who served the Deccan Sultanates. Since Shivaji's father was always away, he was brought up by Jijabai and Dadoji Kundev. While Dadoji trained him as a warrior, Jijabai instilled values by teaching him Hindu epics. This inspired him to fight not only for our country but also for our culture. Shivaji traveled around the forts and hills to get familiar with its geography. He learned guerrilla warfare techniques and increased his father's army from 2,000 soldiers to 10,000. By the age of 16, Shivaji set to conquering forts and capturing kingdoms. Their first feat was the capture of Torna Fort of the Bijapur kingdom. He conquered other forts, which caused worry for many other Mughal emperors. One such emperor, Adil Shah, sent Afzal Khan with a big army to contain Shivaji. However, Shivaji said he wanted to have an informal meeting with Afzal Khan. When they greeted each other, Afzal Khan tried to stab Shivaji with a knife, but Shivaji had come prepared and counterattacked using tiger claws. This just worsened the worries lingering in the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb's mind. Aurangzeb sent his uncle to fight Shivaji, but was defeated and Shivaji recaptured many of his forts. Even after this, the two had fought many wars against each other. On one such occasion, Shivaji and his elder son was captured and held in prison, but they escaped from there just a few days before his execution. Shivaji never stopped working to his idea of Hindavi Swaraj. Shivaji is also known for building a powerful navy and as the father of Bharatiya Navy. He realized the importance of naval force and believed that it would keep them independent from foreign invaders. Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Jayanti is celebrated on February 19th in his honor. We must all remember Shivaji for he lived to strive for an independent India. Dhanyawad.
Thank you, Srishti. It was a good presentation along with good slide designs.
Thank
So
you, sir.
very much improvement. Even the slides, the content, the points were very crisp, so that the viewers or the spectators can be viewers rather than listen to you rather than just reading what is there in the PPT. Good. So let us move on to the next presentation by Lakshmikant. Lakshmikant, please go ahead.
Sir, is my screen visible, sir?
Yeah, Lakshmikant.
Namaste. Today I am going to speak about Raja Ram Mohan Roy. He was born to a prosperous family. As a youth, he traveled outside Bengal. He mastered several languages like Sanskrit, Persian, Arabic, English, in addition to his native Bengali and Hindi. In 1803, he composed a tract denouncing what he regarded as Bharat's superstition and its religious divisions, both within Hinduism and between Hinduism and other religions. As a remedy for those ills, he advocated a monotheistic Hinduism. He sought a philosophical basis for his religion. The sacred scriptures of Hinduism and the Upanishads, speculative philosophical translating those ancient Sanskrit texts into Bengali, Hindi, and English, and writing summaries and treatises to them. In 1815, Roy founded the short-lived Atmiya Sabha, Friendly Society, to propagate his doctrines of monotheistic Hinduism. He became interested in Christianity and learned the Hebrew and Greek in order to read the Old Testament. testaments. In 1823, when the British imposed censorship upon Calcutta Press, Roy, as founder and editor of two of Bharat's earliest weekly newspapers, organized a protest, arguing in favor of freedom of speech and religion as natural rights. The protest marked a turning point in Roy's life, away from preoccupation with religious polemic and towards social and political action. In his newspapers, treatises, and books, Roy tirelessly criticized what he saw as the idolatry and superstition of traditional Hinduism. He denounced the caste system and attacked the custom of sati, ritual burning of widows upon funeral pyres of their deceased husbands. His writings emboldened the British East India Governing Council to act deci- decisively on the matter, leading to the prohibition of Suti in 1829. In 1822, Roy founded the Anglo-Hindu School, and 4 years later, the Vedanta College, in order to teach his Hindu monotheistic doctrines. In 1828, Roy founded the Brahmo Samaj, a Hindu reformist sect utilized Unitarian and other liberal Christians elements in its beliefs. The Brahmo Samaj was to play an important part later in the century as the Hindu movement of reform. Thank you.
Thank you, Lakshmikant. So it was a detailed explanation about Raja Ram Mohan Roy. We move to the next presentation by Suyesh. Suyesh will present on Maharaja Ranjit Singh.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. So Maharaja Ranjit Singh. Early life and circumstances. Maharaja Ranjit Singh, who was born in 780 and 1780 and died in 1839, was born in Budrukhan in Punjab and was a great king who would later be known as the Lion of Punjab. Budrukhan is now inside Pakistan. At the time of his birth, there were 12 confederacies in Pakistan. And at age 12, his father died and left him in charge of one of them, which is the Sakarachiya Confederacy which is a Sikh Muslim. With his valor and wisdom, Ranjit Singh soon conquered all the Sikh confederacies and founded the Sikh kingdom in Punjab. This happened in 1801 when he was officially crowned and entered Lahore in 1801. His feats and personality. Ranjit Singh was the first king in a millennium to turn the tide of the invasion back into the homelands of the traditional conquerors of Bharat, the Pashtuns. So the Pashtuns always conquered India, Muhammad Ghazni and all of them, but he turned them back into Afghan. At their height, his domains extended from the Khyber Pass in the northwest to the Satluj River in the east, and from the Kashmir region at the northern limit of the Indian subcontinent downward to the Thar Desert, as you can see in the map or whatever. Although he was uneducated, he was a shrewd judge of people and events, free from religious bigotry, and he was mild in the treatment of his adversaries. So his army was a mix of Sikh, Muslims, and Hindus, which is a big reason in why he could actually win so much, because he didn't discriminate. His empire could have gone to greater heights, but unfortunately, he was checked by the British. They always they did a lot of treaties to take his river, so they could contain him in the zone. So he could never grow his empire bigger than it already was. As a king, Ranjit Singh's reign introduced reforms, modernization, investment in infrastructure. So he basically copied Napoleon I, and he took the arms from the European military, and then he improved his own army. His Khalsa army and government included Sikhs, Hindus, and Muslims and Europeans. His legacy includes a period of Sikh cultural and artistic renaissance, including the rebuilding of the Harmandir Sahib in Amritsar, as well as other major gurudwaras, including the Takht Sri Patna Sahib and the Hazur Sahib Nandan under his sponsorship. There was recently a BBC survey in Punjab, and Ranjit Singh was like crowned the greatest king in all of Indian history by like 38% of Punjab's population. So you can see how great he was in their eyes, in the eyes of his people. After his death in 1839, his empire quickly collapsed due to internal conflict between his rival chiefs. So, yeah.
Thank you, Suresh. So one of the major names in the Sikh dynasty or Sikh rulers.
Yeah.
Let us move on to the next presentation by Sampada. Sampada, you can. Yeah, yeah, fine. I'll be recording. So after your completion, you can start again.